A lot of my friends and family started getting concerned about me. You're not allowed to even walk home from school because you are dying. I just continued to have this addiction of wanting to lose weight. I actually remember telling my mom at one point, I don't see the point of my life anymore. I'm Sara Ryan, and this is my story. Growing up, I was always a very happy child. I never really worried about food or exercise being a huge thing in my life. I was just always a very happy, carefree child. I wasn't a Christian. I thought I knew God, but I didn't have an intimate relationship with Him. So I would go to church maybe once or twice a year, if that, at the Catholic church that I was growing up in. But other than that, I never really went to church. So when I was 15, I was going through my first breakup with a boy who I dated for almost a year. And because he was the first person I'd ever dated, it took a huge toll on me emotionally. He started seeing someone who, in my mind, was a lot prettier than me, a lot thinner than me, more athletic than I was. She was basically everything that I thought that I wasn't, and so because of that, I thought I needed to change everything about the way that I looked. So I started taking up running. I would run on the treadmill each day for probably about 10 minutes a day, and then I started increasing the amount I was running for 20 minutes, half an hour, until eventually I was running for about 40 minutes to an hour a day. I started noticing a decrease in my weight, and so in the course of 3 months, I had gone from about 125 pounds to 99 pounds, and that was also because I was counting the calories that I was eating as well. My body started changing. A guidance counselor at my school was very helpful. She actually referred me to an eating disorder clinic where I was diagnosed with anorexia, and in my case it was in the form of excessive exercising. I was losing hair, I had lost my menstrual cycle, I lost my body heat, just my body was shutting down. The nurse practitioner at the eating disorder clinic said, "Sarah, if you continue to run on the treadmill for even another 5 minutes, you could have a heart attack because your heart rate's at a 45. And so that day, I remember her saying, "You are not allowed to run on the treadmill at all. We're cutting you off from all forms of exercise. Like, you're not allowed to even walk home from school because you are dying." I thought that that was enough to help me to stop running, but I just continued to have this addiction of wanting to lose weight. And so I reached an all-time low. I remember sitting in the bathtub one day and just crying out to God, even though I didn't even know Him. I felt like God wasn't there for me. He wasn't helping me, and I felt like I was very alone, and just I didn't understand why I was going through what I was going through at the time. And I just remember a couple of days after that, I just felt this really huge tug on my spirit to want to go to church. And my stepdad, who had been praying for my mom and I since I was a little girl, that her and I would go to church with him. He was a Christian, and so he brought us to a church where he thought that it would be good for my mom and I. I remember the pastor always emphasizing on trusting and obeying the Lord, and I never really knew what that meant until I started really searching the scriptures and understanding, what the Bible is all about. And I remember after about a year of attending that church, on Easter Sunday in 2015, my mom actually gave her heart to the Lord, and I thought that that was really neat, but I was still very obsessed with food and exercise, so I wasn't ready yet to fully commit my life to Christ. And one day I went up to my mom and I said, I'm still really struggling, I don't know what to do. And she said, "Sarah, I think you should go and talk to the pastor at his house, and maybe you can, get some advice from him." And he basically said, "Sarah, we don't understand the issues that are going on in your mind in terms of food and exercise, but we know someone who does, and his name is Jesus. And if you allow him into your heart and make him your Lord and Savior and pray this prayer with us, he will be able to help you." And so it was on that day that I made this decision to follow Christ. I didn't necessarily experience complete healing and freedom from my eating disorder that day, but I do remember just my life turning from a place of just destruction to a place of new life and freedom. I felt like I was in such control over my life with this eating disorder, and it actually ended up backfiring because then I felt like I had no control whatsoever. So when I allowed the Lord into my heart, He was the one who helped me to realize that He has control over my life and I'm not in control. When I went to church, I had people there that I could talk to, and they actually prayed over me. And if I hadn't told them about my struggle, I wouldn't have anyone, praying for me. And I think prayer was a huge, it was a life-changing thing in my life, because I think prayer is so important. When people know about your struggle, they can actually pray for you and encourage you and, help you grow. I truly believe that the Lord uses our brokenness and uses it for a greater purpose. He has used my blog that I created back in 2015 when I wasn't a Christian. It was basically just my way of getting my thoughts and emotions out online. And He has used that blog and turned it into a place for, hope and light for others who are walking through a really dark time. He has actually allowed me to turn that blog into a book. And I think that's a really neat opportunity, because now people can actually pick up this book and read it and be encouraged and find that there is true hope that awaits.
Hey YouTube peeps, we are adding news stories just like the one you're watching right now every single day right here on the 100 Huntley Street channel. If you haven't already, take a second and hit that red subscribe button right there.